I'm a staff toxicologist in the Human and Ecological Risk Office of the California Department of Toxic Substances Control, also known as DTSC. We think about the roles of State of California toxicologists. There's really their purpose is to protect human and ecological receptors from harmful exposure to toxic chemicals. And here we see a fish kill that occurred here. Here's cleaning up some toxics at some of the burn sites, I think in Santa Rosa. Here is cleaning up some dioxin contamination at Vandenberg Air Force Base. And here's one of our toxicologists taking in looking at risk assessment issues about contaminants. The critical scientific roles performed by toxicologists are done in several different departments. One of which is in the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. Also there's toxicologists in the DTSC Safer Consumer Products group. There's also toxicologists at the Department of Pesticide Regulation. Also a toxicologist in the Department of Parks and Recreation. There's also critical scientific roles performed by toxicologists in the Department of Toxic Substance Control and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Now, what about the training experience requirements that the state requires for the staff toxicologist or specialist positions? The minimum qualifications are possession of a doctoral degree in toxicology, biochemistry, pharmacology, or a closely related specialty, and either 3 years of postdoctoral experience, this is after the doctoral degree, in toxicology or a closely related field. So it's really quite an extensive amount of post-bachelor training that has to go on, they have to, okay? Now, the training experience that's required for the associate toxicologist are possession of a doctoral degree in toxicology, biochemistry, pharmacology, or close related specialty, or possession of a master's degree in toxicology, biochem, or pharmacology, or close related specialty, and 3 years of experience. You see, these are really quite extensive training requirements that are past the bachelor. And we look at the amount of training in these graduate and postgraduate training that's required for this toxicologist position. We conducted a survey of the current CAPS toxicologist. So the average number of years of graduate and postdoctorate training for the staff toxicologist position averaged 9.9 years. For those that started as a staff toxicologist, it actually took an average of 11.2 years of graduate and postdoctorate training to actually start as a staff toxicologist. For the average number of years training to qualify for associate toxicologist position, consisted of the number of years to obtain the doctoral degree, which is 5.2 years, or the doctorate and master's degree is 6.8 years, or the master's degree, which took an average of 3.5 years. They'd have to have another 3 years in addition to that. I think that the main point of this is that toxicologists have undergone many years of highly specialized graduate and postgraduate training at a considerable expense, and that's required before they can be hired as toxicologists. Now, this is results of a Society of Toxicology job mark survey results. I guess the point here is that since only 14% of toxicologists are employed by the government, and only a small portion of those by the state government here, the state of California has to compete with industry and other employers to obtain these specialized scientists, highly trained specialized scientists that are in high demand. If we now look at the annual average base salary and total salary of doctorate toxicologists with 9 to 19 years experience, this is the salary for 2014 in thousands of dollars. And we can see here that in blue we see the base salary, and in orange you see the bonus salary. And we see that the staff toxicologists are paid considerably less than those in federal government and those in independent consulting and academic firms, and a lot less than those in consulting firms and also in industry. If we now compare this to the annual base salary for the doctorate toxicologist with 19 to 29 years of experience, so the salary of California state toxicologists is far below that of other toxicologists in other fields, in the same field in the U.S., other industries in the U.S. and also in California. I guess my overall point is that state toxicologists serve important roles, very important roles. and California needs to be able to hire a highly qualified toxicologist. What about the salary disparity of the California toxicologist? Now, the current maximum pay of the state of California, for example, the state staff toxicologist currently is $108,720. It's less than that of federal government toxicologists. And these pay is actually significantly higher in Oakland and the San Francisco Bay Area. And these are just right out of the USGS pay scale. Now, in addition, the state engineering geologists and the hazardous substance engineers only require a bachelor's degree. Yet they have higher salaries than the staff toxicologist, and especially the associate toxicologist. Now, some of these also have a credential. But the point is that with only a bachelor's degree, they can have higher salaries than staff toxicologists or associate toxicologists. And I think a lot of people realize that that's just not equitable. Toxicology and biochemistry are just as rigorous a field of study as engineering. And the staff to toxicologist with a required doctorate should not be paid less than a hazardous substance engineer and a geologist with only a bachelor's degree. If California wants to use science to protect the people and the environment from harmful toxic chemicals, we must compensate our scientists, including toxicologists, for the many years of graduate and postgraduate training that's required for these positions. Well, the disparity doesn't end there. Let's consider the years of state service. Since state engineering geologists and hazardous substance engineers, and I might incidentally mention that we're in the same departments as I'm in, okay? And we work alongside them in many of these cleanup sites. Since their positions only require a bachelor, they can start earning service credits for 5 to 10 years before the staff toxicologist can even be hired. And they can retire at a much younger age than toxicologists can. And indeed, the CalHR report, this is the CalHR statewide workforce planning and recruitment unit, reported that this is about a six-year difference there. You know, the point is that toxicologists are not being compensated for those years of graduate and postgraduate training, and they have to work to a much older age. So salary increases for toxicologists are really required to compensate for the many years of graduate and postgraduate scientific training that's required for these positions. In summary, evaluating the risk from toxic chemicals requires highly trained scientists. Toxicologists are in high demand by industry, by private consulting, and academia. California must be able to hire qualified toxicologists to protect human and ecological health. And current salaries lag significantly behind other employers, as well as within the state. California must increase compensation for the toxicologists to be able to hire and retain this class of scientists that fulfill critical roles for the state, particularly the experienced toxicologist. Okay? Compensation for toxicologists must consider the minimum education requirements as well as the years of experience.